Hi YouTube, Folio Society Reviewer here today to showcase I Am Legend by Richard Matheson, illustrated by Dave McKean and introduced by Joe Hill. Robert Neville is the last man left alive, but his days and nights are far from empty. A plague born on clouds of dust has killed much of humanity and resurrected them as vampires, and Neville has devoted his daylight hours to exterminating the monsters, while at night he barricades himself in his home and listens to the men and women who were once his neighbors howl for blood. How long can a man's sanity last in such conditions? The author's prose is as lean and as efficient as his hero, propelling the reader on a fraught thrill ride before ultimately asking the terrifying question, who is the real monster here? Production details on this book are it's bound and printed in blocked cloth, set in Aldus, with 208 pages of frontispiece and 6 color illustrations, has 4 integrated black and white illustrations for the part titles and illustrated headings throughout. A die-cut slipcase measures 10 inches by 5.5 inches. And if you look at the slipcase design, how it is die-cut through, so I can stick my finger through that, when the book slides into the case, that burgundy case, the eyeball will come through the eye and will be peeking out at you. It's very creepy. And then the mouth will be showing through the bottom as well. This was one of the first it actually was the first Folio Society book I ever purchased, and I was so happy with it. I continued buying more. It kind of propelled me into collecting their books. I think it's a 5-star production, and I love it, and I hope you'll consider picking it up at some point. You can see that the case is a nice thickness to it, and a beautiful burgundy color. And if you look at the book itself, it has a beautiful silky cloth and a beautiful illustration by Dave McKean on the front. You get a nice close look at that. I actually filmed this showcase a while back, but I made a couple little small errors and I wanted to maybe give it a better look than I had before. You can see a nice avocado green band there and a very striking spine with the gold printing that says Richard Matheson, I Am Legend, with the Folio Society logo. And a really gorgeous illustration on the back as well, with the sunlight shining through. If you're looking for a collectible edition of I Am Legend for a somewhat reasonable price for a collectible edition, this retails for around $75 US. I definitely think this is probably the best one to get. And the only thing that I don't like about this edition is how I said before, it measures around 10 inches long and 5.5 inches wide. And it really needs to be a little bit shorter, more like your standard books on the length, and a little wider like your standard books on the width. It's just a little awkward in your hands. And you'll see when you see the text layout that it kind of didn't make sense for it to be longer, but I'm guessing it was for illustration purposes that they decided to go with the longer design with this. And you can see the beautiful green end papers with the Folio Society page here, and I Am Legend. So there's our first illustration, frontispiece illustration by Dave McKean. Robert Neville sitting, having a drink, looking out into the world, the dark, grim world. And I love how Dave McKean did the splatter effect, kind of like a bloody splatter effect on the lettering throughout the book for the chapters. It was printed by the Folio Society in 2018. You can still pick this up today. It's printed on Abbey Pure Rough paper in Italy. And it does have, Abbey Pure Rough, from my experience, is a thicker paper than the Abbey Wove paper that they use. And so if you like a thicker paper, you will really enjoy this acid-free thick paper. And there's our illustrations page. And a little background on our author, on Joe Hill, and on our illustrator, Dave McKean. And there's our introduction by Joe Hill. I have not read this introduction, but I look forward to rereading I Am Legend. It was one of my favorite books, one of the first real serious books I ever read in my life, and I will definitely give it a reread at some point. It's a good, solid story. And you can see what I mean about the extra white space at the bottom. It didn't really seem necessary. Really would have been probably a better design choice to kind of shorten the book and make it a little wider so that it was more standard in size. And there's our dedication page, and here's our part 1 illustration, the black and white illustration by Dave McKean of the vampires in the city. I Am Legend is known as one of the books that is very ahead of its time for when it was written so long ago. Can't remember the exact year, but the book was a real easy read for me. 3 or 4 hours I got through it. You might even be able to get through it faster than me. I just remember it being a nice quick story. And here's our double page illustration here of Robert Neville outside working on things. And again, that dark, grim world. And Robert Neville has so much inner turmoil throughout the book. And this is another incredible illustration. As you can see, it's printed on a glossy paper, which isn't my favorite, but as far as the illustrations go, are printed on glossy paper, but still very nice, very clean, colorful illustrations. And let's get to our next one, another black and white. You can see the mosquito and the girl, that little mosquito biting her. Part 2. And we got another double page here. Robert Neville in this scene is doing some research to get some answers to questions. Imagine what you would do if you were the last man on Earth. What would you do? And here he is when he finds the dog. I know in the movie, which is quite a bit different than the book itself, the dog is a really key role in that, and this is a powerful scene of just love. You know, think of how long Robert Neville has been without love, and then he finds this dog which miraculously has survived through all the vampires somehow, some way. Here we go again with the black and white, part 3. Girl is running. And another color illustration, Robert reaching for the drink. I hope I'm not skipping any illustrations. I apologize if I do. Another really good black and white illustration with like the writing up there for God. And then I'm leaving, it says there. A lot of double page spread illustrations in this. And of course the vampires are hunting for Robert Neville. And at the end of the story, Robert Neville becomes the legend. So I hope that you will read I Am Legend at some point in your life if you haven't. And if you enjoyed this showcase, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and leave a comment if you decide to purchase based off of this showcase. Thanks for checking this out. Have a great week. Oh, I did forget. Oops, I almost forgot. Let's go ahead and slide that in. I'm going to do my best to slide this in real quick so you can see. I knew I was forgetting something, but there we go. There's the mouth sticking through in the eye. So, very creepy. Looks really cool. I am there. As I said, have a great week, guys. Thanks for watching.